listening to the Devil Dog Talk Show.
This show contains explicit material and is recommended for ages 18 and older for mature audiences only. But hey, it's the internet.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Devil Dog Talk Show. Today we have an amazing show with Daniel Litzenberger, the founder and CEO of the Ranch Foundation. I almost got it out all the way out without messing it up that time. Almost. It literally, I felt like my tooth was like fumbling out right after Ranch Foundation. Just going with it. How you doing this morning, Dan?
Good, Joey. How you doing this morning?
Pretty good. Pretty good, man. You know, this has actually been one of the first morning shows I've done in probably 3 years. So it was a challenge. You know, I was like, oh, you know, I got to get up. Dan was like, yes, I'm so excited for tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, me too. Dang it. I forgot that I had to go to bed early.
Well, you wanted 7 p.m. and I'm like an old man now. I get to bed pretty early. So I was like, I'm going to be lagging at that time. So I fire off pretty well in the morning now. So I appreciate you meeting in the morning.
Anytime. I'll put a little note right here and just say Dan's special time.
Yeah.
Anytime. So yeah, me and you started talking a couple weeks back, and you brought up some really great and interesting things that you have going on out there at the Ranch Foundation. But I kind of want to introduce yourself to the audience a bit. Who is Daniel Litzenberger? Because I've had to reread that so many times, the Litzenberger. Like I wanted to make sure I nailed it for you. How do we?
That's impressive.
Yeah, thank you. I practiced. How did you get into the space of healing, and what was your veteran experience or military experience like?
Well, I'll try to be as brief as I can with making sure I tell the whole story. But it really started when I was a little kid with the military. It was I believe I was 5 or 6 years old, and my parents let me watch Forrest Gump, and whether that's a good thing or not, I thought it was great. And when I saw the scene, the Vietnam scene, when they first start getting lit up by the enemy, in the jungles, and there was Lieutenant Dan there, and as a kid hearing Lieutenant Dan, I just really, I thought I was Lieutenant Dan after that. And ever since, I was playing in the woods with sticks, playing Army Man. I knew I was going in the Army. There's no question, or the military. It was actually the Marines first is what I wanted to do. And, so ever since I was a kid, I was always playing with airsoft guns in the woods, like playing war. And then when I started getting older, it turned into more like backpacking and camping and survival stuff. And, I met somebody that was really influential in my life. His name was Wes Sizemore. He's an Iraq veteran, Army veteran. And we worked at a grocery store together when I was 16 years old. And he's the one that pulled me aside because I heard he was an Iraq veteran. And I started talking to him, asking him questions about Iraq. And he had just got back, during the 03, like Fallujah, I believe he was in Fallujah, and I forget some of the other places in Iraq. But he had pulled me in and mentored me and told me, no, you actually want to go into the Army because you have more options there. The Marines can kind of maybe stick you with a job, which I'm not sure. I think that may be true or maybe not. But
it's pretty accurate. Navy and Marines, there's a lot less lateral movement and upper movement. There's just less movement all around. Army's well funded.
The truth of the matter is the Marines wouldn't take me. I got in a lot of trouble when I was a kid, running around. I was a little hellion. I was in and out of homes when I was a kid, living at different people's homes. I was in juvie at some points. And so I had a rough childhood. And so the Army was really my way out of it. The Army said they would take me and get a waiver. And that ended up leading me to go to basic training and doing well in basic training, getting a Ranger contract. It was called the Option 40 contract. The drill sergeants had told me, listen, we want you to go try out to be a Ranger. And I told them, no way. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's too much. I was already had orders to go to 82nd. I was going to go to Iraq or Afghanistan very quickly. That's what I wanted to do. And to backtrack a little bit, 9/11 was a huge catalyst into me starting to train and get ready for the war, because I knew that we were going to war and I didn't want to miss it. So I was in 7th grade at that time, and I was training, getting ready, trying to get off to boot camp as soon as possible. And so they gave me 24 hours to choose if I wanted to be a Ranger. And I had talked to some of my friends, and they're like, "Hey, you should come. They have a base at Fort Lewis, Washington." And I'm from Spokane, Washington, so I was like, "Oh, I can be close to friends and family." And the only thing I knew about Rangers was I had watched Black Hawk Down religiously as in high school, and I watched it the day before I left for basic training. It was actually, I don't even think I knew it was Rangers at the time there. I just loved the movie. And so I had decided to believe in myself. This is a really big point in my life where I had doubted myself to be something like a Ranger in special operations. I never thought of myself as a special operations soldier. Mm-hmm. And I had gave it 100% shot. I tried, I went out to rip it. It was called back then Ranger Indoctrination Program. Was the hardest thing probably I ever done in my life. And I had made it. And at that point I had realized that I can do pretty much anything that I set my mind to, and I shouldn't doubt myself on what I can do. So that led to I was a mortarman when I first started. I didn't choose to be a mortarman at first. I'm glad I did end up being a mortarman. I thought it was really cool. But at first I was really upset because I was like, what's this mortar tube in basic training? And they're like, you guys are mortarmen. And I was like, no, I'm an infantryman. And they were yelling at me, telling me to shut up. Like, you're a mortarman now. And, but after 3 years of being a mortarman, 3 deployments as a mortarman, I went to snipers and really found my calling there. I had loved the job. I loved the mission. I had seen other snipers do great things on deployments. So I went that route, and I started to have a lot of engagements, and those started to trickle in. And every deployment I came back, which I did 6 deployments to Afghanistan, I started to change a little bit. Like slowly I started to drink more, and I started to seclude myself more. And unfortunately I started to look at my pistol a little bit more. And then I started to put that pistol to my head a little bit more and see what that felt like, and kind of go down that road of suicide ideations, even while I was in. And I didn't really realize what PTSD was, because I thought it was for weak-minded people. I thought PTSD was something that Rangers didn't get, or if they did, it was a weak Ranger. So I didn't really see the signs and symptoms. Nobody was talking to me about it. All my friends were going through it as well, but we didn't really know how to talk about it. Looking back now, us talking about how we were feeling back then. So, when I was getting ready for a Delta Force selection, it's called Combat Action Group, and they're the highest tier 1 unit there really is in the Army. And that's where a lot of Rangers go when their time. I was at E6. I was getting ready to move up or out, so I wanted to go to Delta Force. It initiated a medical retirement because I had an autoimmune disorder, which I had to take a medication for, an injectable medication that I couldn't deploy on it. So Delta Force had denied my packet. And I had friends over there, that were saying that I was probably going to make it as long as I passed the selection. They were like, hey, just pass the selection, you'll do fine. So they were very encouraging about me maybe being able to make it over there. Not to say that I was going to be a for sure thing at all. It's one of the hardest things. And, I was ready to go. And I do feel really bad that I wasn't able to try that out for myself. But it started the medical retirement. I could have stayed in, but I didn't want to do the desk job. I wanted to be operational. So I took the medical retirement, and part of me feels, had felt bad about that at the time, because Rangers were still deploying and still doing the job. And my friends were over at Delta Force now, quite a few of them. So that was hard to swallow, but I got out and started a company almost immediately. The Army let me leave early, called Bull Hill Training Ranch. And it was a long-range marksmanship facility up in the mountains of northeastern Washington. We partnered with a guest ranch called Bull Hill Guest Ranch. So they had thousands of acres of really land that they used, or there was also BLM land up there that they used to do their horse riding for their guests. So we used the land to set up ranges, even a sniper range that went out to a mile. And we had moving targets that went 3, 6, 9, and 12 miles an hour. So we wanted moving targets that were realistic to things that I saw overseas, which was fast moving targets. And So we had a niche, which was really the moving targets, which a lot of people weren't doing. And we had them custom made. So that was starting to actually take off. And we were getting Rangers coming up. Delta Force was coming up. They had a whole event up there, which was pretty crazy and exciting.
That sounds like really intense, like really amazing, just to have a group of guys, like just to have a good shootout, you know, in general, you know, up in a hill or whatever. We used to do a couple things around here in San Diego. But yeah, man, it just when I was reading that, I was like, dude, that sounds like an amazing time.
It was unreal. And that's what really started a lot of this was I didn't know if this was like this. It seemed unreal, a lot of the stuff that was happening. And I was the center of this facility that was growing into this premier marksmanship and just training facility in general. Because like what the Delta Force guys came up to do was basically use the land to do whatever they want. They brought dirt bikes, they brought Zodiac boats, they brought a really fun, good time. They brought a lot of guns. I mean, we went camping, we went rock climbing. We set up rock climbing for them we built some routes for them. We built dirt bike jumps for them so they could go do a bunch of jumps. And I won't go into too much of their training because that's their business. I don't want to talk about it too much, but we were starting to get these big contracts, and I was training SWAT teams in Washington State, certifying them to become snipers. And during this whole time, I was freaking high and drunk and a mess the whole time. Like I was going through it, but I was hiding it really well. I was just highly addicted to pills and drinking every day. And I was secluding myself after a while. I didn't want anybody to talk to me. I was just in my office with security cameras around for the facility. And it was just kind of surreal. Like I was at this mountain facility, and during the winters, it got really dark by myself up there. But yeah, I started to go through some serious issues, and I didn't want to be around anymore. And one day Rangers were up there training, and it was really just me, my business partner. His name was Kyle Kowalski. Great guy. We were good partners together. He was in Wisconsin and wasn't able to make it to this event on time. So I was doing everything. I was super stressed. And one of the Ranger platoon sergeants that I used to have he was actually on a mission that went pretty south, and we actually got some guys shot up that mission. He saw me not doing well, and he was like, "Hey, Litz, are you okay?" And when he said that, I couldn't handle it, like, because he saw my problems. And I went to my room and grabbed my pistol, and I went to go squeeze the trigger to kill myself. But something had totally locked me up. I went into paralysis. I tried to squeeze the trigger. It's like the safety was on. I couldn't squeeze it. And then I threw the pistol down. I started bawling, crying. The platoon sergeant was right there, was like, "Are you okay?" And then I was like, I just tried to kill myself. And he had talked to me, and the Rangers the next morning said, "We need to get Litz some help right now." And so I ended up starting this journey of going to this place called Camp Hope in Texas, and realizing that wasn't really a good place for me. It might be good for some veterans. I just didn't really take to it. So I started trying other things, that led to leaving the ranch and going to school. So I started school. I started exercising again. I started doing jiu-jitsu. I started doing yoga, music lessons. I started playing guitar.
Just kind of incorporating the whole body, trying to find something, it sounds like.
Anything. I was trying to find anything that would stick. So I just did the shotgun blast and tried everything. And a lot of those things didn't work, but some of them did. And I still do a lot of those things today, especially guitar. Fishing's been a really big one. Jiu-jitsu was good for a while, but I started to get kind of hurt, so I've taken a step back from that. But meditation, not drinking. I'm sober now for this whole year. I haven't drank at all, so that's kind of like a new. Staying sober is definitely something I've realized that's important for me.
That's awesome, man.
And yeah, so a lot of that stuff led to me realizing that, why don't I start not a training facility like Bull Hill Guest Ranch? Why don't I start a healing facility just called The Ranch, where we incorporate all these nonprofits from around the country that are decentralized right now? We can have working spaces at the ranch where they can come in and do yoga, equine therapy. They can bring in jiu-jitsu instructors. They can bring in therapists. They can do psychedelic treatments at the ranch. It's in a beautiful nature setting anyways. It'd be perfect. So it started to open my mind, and I started to tell my investors. I had 2 investors for this last company, and I said, I don't want to do the training, the sniper training. I wasn't finding any peace in it, because I was training something that I wasn't doing anymore. And these guys were going off to be snipers, and I was just hanging out in the mountains. And I wasn't finding my purpose. I had no purpose, it felt like, So I told my investors. They had said, no, we don't want to do that. We want to focus on the training facility. That's where the money's at. And that was a contention with me. I was like, well, okay, well, and I had got to go to the mental health hospital, and they had said it's probably not a good idea for me to be around guns anyways. So we had decided for me to leave the company. And that's when I started school, kind of going back and forth a little bit. Sorry, but
it's all good.
That led to me starting the Ranch Foundation as an idea. And I wanted to first do it myself, go through what the ranch would be, try all the wellness practices, do the lifestyle changes, do the therapies, treatments, and practices that we would have other veterans do, and see if it works. And it completely changed my life around. Like, I'm a completely different person than I was in 2017, 2018. And there's a lot of things that I didn't talk about in this, short description of what's happened in my life. And a lot of people that have been so influential in making sure that I get my mental health back, or not even back. I don't think I've ever been like this in my entire life, where I've had my mental health in this way. And so, there was a shaman in Hawaii I met during this time in 2017, right before I left the ranch. She's the one that got me into realizing I didn't need to be at the ranch anymore. I needed to focus on my healing. And we worked in the jungles of Maui for a week doing these trauma release sessions where I would shake out literally all my trauma. I'd cry, I would laugh, I would have all these emotions. And I came back a different person. My family said I was different. But what happened was I got thrown back into the training and the environment of just drinking and drugs, and I didn't get a chance to heal.
You couldn't seem
I
to
didn't give myself a chance.
Yeah. Well, I really want to bring that up, because when you brought up, not just shamanism or shamans or people, but the fact that you're trying your best, right? You're going through an emotional phase. It's very, it's very difficult. And one of the things that I think people in general, I do this to myself, is I minimize that path because I really want to focus on the highlights, right? And the mental health game has us kind of all conditioned to kind of go, yeah, it was really, really bad. But you brought up something powerful. Something stopped you. Okay. Something powerful stopped you from being able to take your own life then, when somebody inquired about it. And it set you onto a journey that included not just self-expression, self-discovery, but the sense of security, being able to be in a jungle with another person and share laughter, share crying. I cry all the time. I'm extremely open about that. Okay. My kids, I tell them, hey, did you see me last night? Why? Because I was just praying over you guys, and I was crying a lot, and I didn't want to seem weird. And goes, well, that is weird. And I go, yeah. But I'm just, just letting you guys know I love you. I'm a very spiritual person as well, in the sense of being grateful for my children, being grateful for my wife, being grateful for my home, even my dogs. I cry over them because I'm just grateful for the love that they give me, right? And the love that it provides me to have the opportunity to share. So to hear that you had a mutual experience where you were able to open up and be vulnerable and kind of see the direction that you wanted to go in, but knowing that when you came back, I don't know if you knew it then or now, but now you do. Hindsight's a motherfucker. And you're going like, oh, these were the things. And you brought it up again. You breezed by the sobriety, and I want to kind of hone in on that too, because the conversation is more than just sobriety. Right? The conversation isn't, does alcohol do anything for me? It's not, do drugs do anything for me? It's, how do I integrate whatever it is that it does do for me in a positive manner if I do that, right? If somebody goes out and has a 6-pack, hey, but you're surfing with your bros and you don't have a mental health problem, hey, that's recreational health, my guy. That's super amazing. Okay. If you do have a drinking problem, then let's be honest, drinking ain't the answer. But for you, when you came back and you were trying to reintegrate those lessons learned, how did you then move forward in that next phase to develop where you're at now?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned spirituality. I gotta give credit to God during all this, because I wasn't religious at all. Really, I actually had a bad taste in my mouth from religion, from Afghanistan, and from growing up being kind of forced to go to church and things like that. But this was 100% God that stopped me from killing myself. 100% like that. It was a paralysis that came on to stop me from doing something that wasn't supposed to happen. And I started, well, my Delta Force friend that came out that time, he had got me this Bible, actually. He brought it and he got my name engraved on it and everything. He drove across the country from North Carolina with his dad to give me this Bible. And I think they were doing another trip too, but they went out of their way to give me this Bible. And I've been reading it every morning, really almost every morning since, with this Iraq veteran that I was mentioning. And that has helped a ton move forward, because I realized that it's not what I did. It's just something that happened to me, and it's not my burden. Like it's just something that happened that I did, and I've been forgiven for my sins. That's the biggest thing about Christianity that's helped me, is like, yeah, maybe I've sinned in my past for sure. But I've been forgiven for them. And I move forward in my life, living a Christ-like life and living the fruits of the Spirit, peace, love, joy, kindness, gentleness, self-control. I focus on those things now, and it's okay that I feel like every day, like I've been forgiven for my sins. I don't feel burdened anymore by them. So that's really helped me move forward and deal with it, is Christianity, and studying it, and really understanding what the message is. Because when I was first reading this, when I first got the Bible, I was like so lost. I was like, what? I read like for 15 minutes and I don't have any idea what I'm reading. But now I have somebody like the Iraq veteran. He's very smart. He's read this a couple times, and he helps me navigate. So finding mentors and people that help you navigate through life, whether that's through the Bible, whether that's through sobriety. But now, so you mentioned sobriety. Let me be clear. That's from alcohol. I still smoke marijuana at night to help me relax at the end of the day, and it helps me sleep. Whether that's a good thing or not, like people can say one thing or another, but I've found it not to be a problem over the years. It's something that back when I was at the ranch, I was using all the time, and it was just it was a problem. But now I've found the balance where it's like, well, alcohol isn't really doing anything for me, and it's causing problems. But the marijuana is helping me sleep, and it helps me relax at the end of the day, get creative when I'm playing guitar a little bit. So that's something for now that's okay in my diet, but it may not be around forever either. It's just where I'm at right now. Like, it's better than where I was, but maybe I'm not 100% where I want to be. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I fully advocate for cannabis, for marijuana. It's the same thing, right? But I fully
all my friends do it. All these Rangers out here in Delta Force guys getting out are smoking weed. Like, nobody wants to drink as much anymore. They want to.
It's better for you. This is something that I started back in 2015, was this huge support for cannabis. I went to Denver for the Cannabis Cup and the Marijuana Investor Summit. It was this huge event. I met Sue Sisley, Roger Martin before he passed. And I got to learn about the science behind it. I'm a huge geek. All right. Like I was a lab tech as well as a FMF corpsman. And when I was learning about cannabinoids and the entourage effect and the whole cannabinoid system, right? The endocannabinoid system, it's this beautiful thing that we don't understand yet. When I use cannabis routinely. It is my preferred modality of treatment, because after 15 years of every single pharmaceutical drug, to include morphine for 4 years, they claim I have a dependency, but it's not. It's just the way they practice medicine. If you need something and it's got a negative stigma, they call it a dependency. If it was statins, it wouldn't be a statin dependency, would it? Because that's not how people practice medicine. I don't have a Tylenol dependency, right? But these words harm people and they harm practice. So when we discuss things like what is sobriety, I'm California sober for sure, and I'll even have a drink every now and again. My son gives me a streak freezes, so I get like on Duolingo, the streak freezes, and
What's the streak freeze? You gotta.
so I love beer. All right. I love alcohol. I love the taste. I love the ritual behind it. I love what, my family does when we hang out and have a good time. And so I don't deny myself a drink, but what I do, my son says, here's a freeze streak or streak freeze. So my streaks don't get ruined and I don't block my mental focus of doing a good job. I beat myself up when I, tend to not do as good, like with physical therapy. I had a really bad fall last year. If I don't do my physical therapy at least like once a day, I know that I'm not doing my best. I'm a big performance-based individual, right? If I could say I was a dog, I would be a pit bull, just ready, like, oh, okay, I'm ready, let's go. Not the Belgian Malinois. I'm not that hyper, but I'm ready to go.
I got two Belgians. Yeah.
So you know exactly what I mean. Yeah, I'm hyper, but that's just a whole nother level. And so what we do is we focus on beneficial self-talk, right? Like positive self-talk. You bring up the Bible, right? Discussing things and interpreting things in a way where you're not saying, oh, you are like a sinner and you'll never change. That's very self-berating. And when we do that psychologically, at least me and my wife have found out for years, of trying these different modalities, psychotherapies, whatever you want, that internal self-talk doesn't stop, right? So no matter how many hours I spend with the therapist, no matter how many no drinks I don't drink, and no matter how much good I'm doing with physical therapy, I have a negative self-talk, right? It's get your ass up. Why are you being such a little lazy bitch? Why are you fucking suck so goddamn bad? Blah, 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 blah. Right. And in that, I realized I would never tolerate that if it was happening to you, right? If somebody was talking to yourself that way, if I saw you like a clone of you talking to yourself, that would be like, hey, Dan, bro, chill, bro. Like, hey, it's about learning. We don't have to beat each other up. Boot camp was boot camp. It started up some stuff, but what we really want is education. And that's kind of the thing that my kid brought up this past weekend, because I did have a few drinks. He goes, hey, Dad, just like Duolingo, it's a free streak. It's not streak freeze. It's not the end of the day. You don't lose any points, get right back on it. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So it just kind of reframes that mental thinking of I'm messing up or I'm not doing as good, which I think a lot of things that people discuss about sobriety or even faith, right? We want to be rigid. And I go, we can't be rigid when we're trying to get people to change. Okay. We're trying to get people to adjust, to feel safe, whether it be following Christianity, discussing Christianity openly, whether it be, hey, I have drinks and I enjoy it. Or if it's, hey, dude, you're the kind of guy, no drinking. All right. But hey, let's go roll a blunt and relax. All right. Yeah. We put in the work today. We did a couple episodes, this and that. It's reframing the mindset that I've really found to be the best way forward. And that gets me excited because when you brought it up about, your journey and the different modalities that you practice or try, which like meditation and of course, spirituality, how is it now that you've gotten from where you were then to how did you really launch the ranch, and how is that the focus there? How do we implement, I want to say, better modalities, and what type of stuff are you guys working out over there?
Yeah, we're not trying to create anything new. Actually, what we're trying to do is centralize the nonprofits that are already out there doing great things in the community. Because like when I started to try to figure out where do I start, it was like Google was in front of me and I'm like, what do I do here? But if we have yes, a website, a virtual presence, but a physical location as well, that helps centralize, hey, I want to get into equine therapy. And then here's all the different equine therapies across the country. But what if you could come to a location and say, I want to come to the ranch and try all these different modalities. I want to try a psychedelic experience. I want to do some yoga. I want to do jiu-jitsu. I want to learn an instrument. I want to try some talk therapy, biofeedback therapy, trauma release therapy. So if we have a location where they can come and almost like a college campus, go to your different modalities and treatments, therapies, practices, it makes it a lot easier for the veteran to expose themselves to multiple different healing modalities. than just trying onesies and twosies. And then you go to one and you didn't like it and it turns you off to going to another. I will say that Boulder Crest is a very large I don't want to say large, but they're an up and coming organization that's really making a difference in the community for specifically combat veterans. They take with PTSD, but they take about 8 to 10 people and they go through these different wellness practices, kind of like what we're talking about. And you have shared trauma and people are sharing about their experiences. And I don't want to talk too much about it because it's kind of like you got to go to experience it.
Yeah.
But that got me open to the idea of, we need to have a place where you can try all these different things, an actual facility. And yes, an online presence where it's like, oh, I'm interested in jiu-jitsu. Like, what can I do? Well, We Defy Foundation, they sponsored me and gave me, if you're an 80% disabled veteran or more, you can get a year of jiu-jitsu. Like, it's that simple. And I went to Jocko Willink's gym in Victory in San Diego. Have you heard of Victory Gym?
No. I know that they're well. Okay, so the only thing I don't know good things. Okay, I just know bad things. So I hear good things about their systems and what they do, but no, I haven't heard about the programs or what they offer. I have heard Jocko's doing great things, even with children's books and stuff. But other than that, I'm very much just trying to survive and do as good as I can.
I'm a ranger in SEALs, so it's just how our culture is.
I noticed, dude. Like,
he does do a really great gym down there, and it's I mean, they had me for a whole year. I would go like once every other week, but every time I'd go, I felt absolutely amazing when I was done. Like, there's something about jiu-jitsu that's there, but it wasn't really like my thing, like wrestling around on the ground, and I didn't really take to it. So it just wasn't. But I tried it and it was great.
So I grew up wrestling. Great. Yeah. So I know exactly. Like, you feel like you're just getting touched up by a man a bit too much, right? And look, I'm not saying it's homoerotic, but jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and all the physical sports where you're rubbing up against a man, it's homoerotic. Like, let's not sugarcoat it, okay? And it's okay, all right? It's perfect.
But once you get past that, it is like really, once you're like just rolling on the ground and you guys are drilling, and then you're actually applying the techniques that they teach you that day, and you actually land the move that you got taught, you're like, whoa, it feels really cool. So like there is something there with combatives, I think, in general, besides jiu-jitsu. Like, I've done boxing before too at the Spokane boxing gym, and that was really great doing that. But I think combatives is a great wellness practice. It doesn't need to be jiu-jitsu or just wrestling. It can be really anything.
That physical release. I've been teaching my kids. My son is he's going through that sprout of puberty where he wants to punch something in the face. And I'm like, here's a punching bag, and I'm like, I know exactly the feeling, right? He's hitting that age, and I'm like, all right, there's a group of guys out here. They just opened up a shop in my town, and we're going to try and go get him into that. But it's the physical release of not just stress, tension, anger. I noticed in wrestling, right? Because I grew up ever since I was a little kid wrestling, like really little, like 9, 10, maybe 8. And what it always showed me was there's always different people coming into the room, right? It's not, hey, one size fits all. Everybody has the same kind of lifestyle. Wrestling brings, and jiu-jitsu too, because it's very similar, but it's the clean of the two. Oh my God, is wrestling filthy? Okay. Oh my God, our tournament's the worst. Okay. We went to a couple martial arts tournaments with the kids, and I was just blown away about the efficiency, just the straight, just the cleanliness. I was like, wow. And I told my wife, that's the difference between wrestlers and the vast majorities of people. We're very nitty gritty. We're very rough-necked. It's very a different lifestyle, right? Every wrestler I've ever met, like while I was growing up, now in life, that continues with jiu-jitsu. A lot of the guys that I grew up with in the room, right? They literally launched their schools now. I'm not going to freely promote them, but they're more than welcome to call me up and I'll promote the shit out of them. All right. But they do a great job and all their kids are into it. And I'm like, dude, jiu-jitsu is a beautiful sport. Physical sports are a thing that the human body needs. All right. We need to be rough. We need to be rough housed. You know, there's even books about it. When you're raising your children, rough housing releases more endorphins and the relationship is a lot better. And, you know, I noticed that when me and my kids mess around, even if they punch me and they catch me off guard, or, you know, it's okay, because I'm like, you know what, that's good, because a man, and I'm not saying not just for men, but a man, little boys, we have to understand that, like when you brought it up, that desire to become, you know, a warrior. I just had another guest. We talked about that vision, the romanticized truth, and the actual depths of what a man desires has to be aligned with their ethos, principles, and purposes, right? And when you get roughed housed, you know you can physically handle something, right? A lot of people say, hey, what's it like getting punched in the face? It's very difficult to explain it, okay? But once you do it to them, they go, oh, that's what getting punched in the face is like. Yeah, and you could live through it. Okay, you could just take a couple shots, and then you kind of, you got to get back in there, you know, give as much as you take. Like thou shalt not return fire, right? No. Okay. You better give as much as you're getting. And that's kind of the beautiful sense of what I loved hearing about, you know, how you lit up when you're talking about out here in San Diego and getting on the mat. What other modalities have you noticed that are really effective for you personally? You brought up guitar.
Guitar for sure. Like, well, okay, so the easiest thing that I did when I first left the ranch, because I let my physical fitness go when I lived in the mountains. Like, I just did. I kind of became a little bit more chubby. Like, I've always been really in shape my whole life, and like I let myself go, and that was a part of myself. And so I felt like that was kind of making me depressed too. But once I got into school, that was the biggest thing. It was the change in my environment. Like, I had to change my environment, which was toxic up in those mountains with the drinking. I mean, there was a lot of drinking, just the whole culture up there with the guest ranch. Everybody drank every night. So I would go up and teach people. I would do the mile shot with guests, even like 8-year-old kids. They'd shoot a mile target with a 300 Win Mag and like hit the target. Like I do it with very young kids and their families. They'd pay me a couple $100. It'd be like, go hit the mile target with a Ranger sniper, and they'd come out. I'd get them to hit the target. Sometimes it'd take like 30 rounds to hit the target, but I'd get them to hit the target. But we'd go back up and we drink. Everybody, oh, I want to buy you drinks. That was so crazy. And I'd just be drinking like every night, and it just became toxic. But once I left that environment and I went to school, and I was able to start waking up at 5 a.m. and we'll go to the gym. That was huge. Like the 5 a.m. gym. Like there's something about, and I don't do that anymore for my workouts, is the 5 a.m. workout, but that was really good when I was trying to change my life, just being like, I'm going to grind, and listening to some motivational stuff in the morning. I listened to Les Brown. He's like a motivational speaker, and it would just pump me up, and I would listen to that over and over. And Zach Thomas, you know, that guy, he's a motivational speaker. And so exercise was the free thing that I can do. It was that I could do it every day. It was just up to me if I could do it. And that really helped me. But alongside with that, I was doing guitar lessons with a guy named Joe Brash. He's kind of like a famous musician in my hometown, and he's done a lot of stuff in the music community. But I walked into Hoffman's Music in Spokane, and I was like, I want lessons. I heard there's a guy here that teaches real well. Somebody had recommended him. And the guy there said, no, he only takes experienced guys. Like, he doesn't take new people. I'm sorry. And I was like bummed. I was like, oh no. And I started to walk out, and he comes out of his office and he goes, hey man, you want to learn guitar? And I was like, yeah, but I'm not an expert. I'm sorry. I'm a new guy. Like, I don't want to waste your time. And he's like, get in here. Come on. And he just brought me in, had our first lesson, was like, what's your story? Ever since, every Monday for the last 7 years, we've been meeting up from 1:30 to 2:30. We have lessons, but 30 minutes of it at the beginning is just talking about life. He's a seven-year-old guy that just coaches me on life, and we talk about life. Then we play music for 30 minutes. So that music therapy is what I call it. My work knows it as therapy, but I call it music therapy. And that was huge, because every morning, that's the first thing I do is I put the coffee on and I grab the guitar and I play for like 20 minutes. And it might not sound long, but 20 minutes, that gets me in the mood for the day. Like I get to play something that I'm working on, and it gives me, and usually I make a video, like if I'm working on something new. Not that I'm like the greatest guitar player by any means at all. I'm learning. And so I've been posting ever since I started. The beginning of me just like barely being able to play a G chord. And like now I'm playing like riffs and stuff and playing more complicated songs. So I've been documenting. The whole point was to document my journey over the years to show people that there is a way out of this. And if you're in the struggles, you can absolutely change your environment, put some wellness practices in your life to be able to overcome mental health trauma. Like you don't, and the meds are important. I'm on medications. I'm on SSRIs and antipsychotic. I've been in and out of the mental health hospital 8 times. So I've had, and some of those times I was in there for a month. So I had to figure out what was going on with my chemistry in my brain. But finally I got on some meds that worked, and it took a lot of different meds. But eventually I landed on some where I started to feel normal, and I woke up like, oh, I actually feel happy. This is weird. I haven't felt happy in years. And then so now I have the medication support, but then I have the other wellness practices and the diet and the sobriety, and so everything kind of plays together. And every day I wake up, I feel great. I'm actually excited to wake up. I'm sorry I had to wake you up early to do this, but I feel great about like waking up in the morning. And that wasn't the case when I got out of the Army, or even in the Army. I was dreading this to start the day, and I'd sleep in like till 11 o'clock at the ranch sometimes, and I wouldn't want to do anything. And I was just depressed. I didn't have a purpose. Now with the ranch, I have a purpose. Even with my job, I'm a tax consultant, and I help out a lot of people, but also veterans with their tax problems. Like they owe a debt, I negotiate their debt with our attorneys to try to lower it.
Nice.
So that feels like it's a purpose, right? Helping people with their taxes. And then the purpose of the ranch, absolutely. The ranch it's just starting. So like the idea is to get me to show like what it can do for me. Then it's to reach out to other people, which we've been doing. We've been helping people along the way that have been reaching out, connecting them with places like Boulder Crest. So getting them into places. So that way, like if they're interested in jiu-jitsu, it's, hey, here's Cage from We Defy Foundation who helped me. Like, here's his information. Here's your packet, submit it. It's not that complicated. It's just helping them, direct them into wellness practices. But eventually, yes, we want the resources to be able to have a very large AI-powered online presence that makes it easy to connect with things. And then also, a very, like, I don't want just some 10-acre facility in the woods. Like, it's got to be the most premier facility for veterans, or I'm not going to do it. Like, it's got to be the biggest impact for veterans, and that is having a facility that can accommodate all these nonprofits in the best way, so that they can come up and send representatives to do their own treatments, therapies, and practices. So having that purpose has definitely helped me out for sure.
That's wonderful, man. I love hearing it, because the ambition is where I identify with very much so, is being able to see a problem, right? Identify its moving parts, its nomenclature, and go, all right, well, this is where we're getting friction. We need a little bit of lube. This is where we need a little extra power. We need a little bit extra gas. Well, now we just need a lot of everything, right? I love working on classic cars. It's one of one of my therapies. Yeah, it is super fucking cool, man. It's so awesome. I love telling people about it, and people go like, "Oh, okay. Have you seen the new show, Shifting Gears?" I was like, "Tim Allen?" Yeah. Yes. Are you kidding me? Like, absolutely. The whole show's about classic cars, right? And well, not really, but it is. And the whole point of getting into the car isn't to have it perfect. Okay, that's the misinterpretation of a lot of things I think a lot of people get involved with, myself included. And after this past year of asking for help, trying to find the right people to connect with, to develop the teams, to see the visions, to build the ambition, right? And much like yourself, a lot of the things we're building out are on its incubator phase, right? And probably a little bit less than yours, a lot less than yours. But it sounds like you have this great ambition and sense of drive and purpose. And much like a classic car, right? its beauty isn't in its outward appearance, right? Patinas are now sought after. Internals are now sought after. Rag joints, instead of converting over to power driving, is more sought after. Not necessarily to drive home a bigger dollar, right? But these small details of classics and these small details of individuals that work and don't work, and how you want your, not necessarily not to pimp your ride, right? Maybe you just want it to look good, and being able to drive reliably, that's kind of where I see mental health is in at least my perspective. And it seems like yours as well, where, hey, if we're not doing this big, right? And I love that passion, because it is important for people to wrap their heads around the dollar amount that is dedicated to military and veterans a year. Okay.
17.1 billion for mental health for the
That's
VA.
That's just one small chunk, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at that, right, I was doing a lot of numbers yesterday specifically about the VA home loans, and I think they said about $29 billion missed out every year on financing homes. And I'm like, hold on. So there's all this money and there's no communication, right? There's no incentive to communicate, really, because nobody understands the opportunity. Like for our conversation, right, to make it more focused, if we knew a bunch of people with horses, right, that would be super easy to get an equine thing together, right? If we knew a lot of people with mental health resources, then that would be super easy. We definitely know a lot of people with a lot of money, because nonprofits are just that. They're these I don't want to say PCs or no, PEs, whatever they're called, the private equity firms, but they kind of are. The majority of nonprofits are pivoting into being a financier of those solutions. And that's okay, right? But the optics to a lot of persons out there, we have to reestablish trust. We have to reestablish intention and commitment. And that's where I notice a lot of veterans right now, especially in the youth, the younger age, going through it, they see right through the malarkey. That they see right through it, like the gentleman that saw right through you and was like, hey, are you okay? Being able to ask people those questions and being able to get to people on that level, I think, is the next big wave of the United States investment need, okay, for veterans and the outcomes that we were promised. Because knowing that some things work some of the times is not the type of investment that we've been making. Okay. The type of investment America has been made and making for the past, I don't know, 30 years, not just in the warfare, but in its commitment to taking care of the veterans. The fact that there's a lot of distribution woes. Okay. People go, why are they getting so much of this? Why are they getting so much of that? How come Medal of Honor recipients are getting quadrupled benefits? I don't know, but that doesn't seem to be the answer to helping that guy who, got injured. I don't know, doing PT one day, doing nothing special, but he's injured and he has to now spend the rest of his life doing something different, not serving the military. Or the young lady that was a PN, I think that's what they call them, the yeoman now. I don't know. The yeomans, the administrators, right? Maybe she has severe carpal tunnel and now she can't even do what she knows, and it's changing their life. Finding these solutions is what I'm 100% about. Hearing about your journey and how you came from, that young man who just wanted to be something in the military, to finding people that believed in you a little bit more than you did yourself, kind of at the beginning, into this gentleman that, sits before us and had this beautiful conversation with us. I really just want to kind of turn it back to you a little bit and ask, how do we connect and support this vision of the Ranch Foundation and yourself?
Yeah, well, I mean, first, I'll answer that question when they go back to the VA. Yeah, they're getting all this money to fix the mental health problem, but it's getting worse. So it's like, what are we doing with $17.1 billion? Well, I'll tell you, when you go into these facilities, they put you in pajamas. They lock you in, and basically it looks like jail. They put on some basically cartoons. You have snack time, and then you pill time and snack time, and you're just there, and then you get out and there's no continued support. There's no like, hey, here's a bunch of wellness practices, or this is the things you need to do, or some continued care and treatment. it's just kind of like putting a Band-Aid on the problem and not really fixing it. So, I mean, how we support the ranch is definitely, we want to get, it's not like we're going to start reaching out for donations for onesies and twosies. We want to get a grant. There's this John C. Hanning Act grant that it's like a $750,000 grant. We've got a grant writer on our board of directors. He's very good at doing it. He's a Marine too. His name's Josh Peridnick, and he's going to help with looking to get the grant. But we want to do our first retreat, lease the facility first, which we'll find one that's good. It's probably going to be a guest ranch of some sort. And we'll lease the facility, do our first event, make sure we take 8 to 10 veterans that actually have like a very good positive experience, follow them for a year after, make sure that their life is getting better, and we have to give them continued support. We have the resources to make sure they have guitar lessons for a year. The first event we wanted to call it the String Strength and Strings, Strength, and Strings, Strength, and Streams.
Strings, and Strength?
Streams, Strength, and Streams. Streams, Strength, and Strings. Sorry, I've had trouble saying it. But yeah, we might have to change it because I can't say it. But it's basically guitar lessons. There's strings, and then streams is fishing, and then strength is jiu-jitsu. So you got those 3 things, along with 3 different. You have biofeedback therapy, talk therapy, and then trauma release therapy. So you've got some wellness practices in there, and then you've got some therapies in there. And for 6 to 7 days, you'll do your therapies and your wellness practices. And we're going to give you all the fishing gear. We're going to give you the spots in your hometown where you should be fishing and how to fish it. We're going to give you lessons for a year. Yeah, you'll be taking lessons there, but you'll get lessons with Guitars for Heroes. Hopefully, we've been talking with them, and we'll get you a guitar. So you'll have everything you need to practice. And same thing with jiu-jitsu. We work with We Defy Foundation to get you a year of jiu-jitsu. So in your hometown, you can choose a spot to do jiu-jitsu. Or maybe that's another combatives. Maybe it's boxing or some sort. But give them that, and then also the therapies, and hopefully get them therapy, not just for the 6 days, but get them like a year of therapy, of talk therapy. So we want to make it like a very impactful event for these 8 to 10 individuals that we select. And then we go from there, and we start asking for more funding to build an actual facility, and we get more nonprofits to be involved. So it's like sometimes, honestly, Joey, it's overwhelming because it's just me and my board of directors, which I've got a really gangster board of directors. Like my guitar instructor's on it, Joe Brash. He has a nonprofit that he works. Julie Greeley, she's very big in wellness and has been she's the wellness director, but she's been in health and wellness for gyms and other organizations her whole life. Adrian Millsap, he's the Air National Guard guy that is our tech director. He's very good at tech and design. Our finance director is that Marine I was talking about, Josh. And then we have our chief strategy officer, and his name's John. And so he helps with strategy and stuff like that. And then Nate, he's our adventure director. So he's in charge of like kayaking and all the outdoor stuff. And so we have a really good team of people. It's just we need to get the funding to be able to do our first retreat and then really start, because you can't just go from asking for $150 million to build a facility, right? Like we got to have a proof of concept that this actually works. I understand how it works. I had a company. So it's overwhelming sometimes because I'm trying to maintain my wellness practices and make sure that I'm in a good place. And then also I have work that I have to do 8 hours a day. And then I have a relationship, and like, it can be a lot, for anybody like yourself trying to, run your business and everything and have the family. So, definitely what I want to do is reach out to people and have them know about the ranch and what we're trying to do. And then I also want to hear from people of like, what do you think should be at the ranch for a wellness practice? What worked for you when you got out? Like I'm sharing with my stuff, but I don't want it just to be my Instagram of just me. Like that's what it is right now. But what we want is everybody to start sharing the things that they're doing for their health and wellness to overcome their mental health trauma. So that's what I would love to hear more is what people are doing themselves. And then I would love to see people send me videos of like, hey, this is what I do, or this is them playing guitar and this is what they're working on.
That's amazing, dude. I love it because you're encouraging the engagement, right? And that's where the solutions have to come from, right? If we as a nation really are dedicated to resolving, let's just say, one aspect of the veteran circumstance or experience or military experience. It should be able, and I hate using the word should, but we should, as a country and as a people, say, hey, let's get this right. Let's try this. All right. We've tried everything else. We've tried so many different things. Okay. And I've tried so many different things just this past year. I can't tell you how many different organizations send me to the same one organization time and time and time and time again. And that organization does not have the means nor the know-withal to assist me, period. I'm in a very unique crack of identity. And that's where I find it laughable, because I go, if we were to listen to the patients, right? If we were to observe the routine lack of outcome that our investments have been making, right? Again, focus just on mental health, all right? We could definitely say, I'm pretty positive we can throw $1 billion at that and not even fill it, okay? Like the VA could literally tomorrow, with Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance, who is a Marine veteran, right? They could look at something tomorrow and then sign an act to fund $1 to $5 billion worth of something. They can call it the new Tri-Act. I don't know. Why not? Everybody likes saying dumb things about acts nowadays. We're going to give it a hoot. The Give It a Hoot Act, right? Like, no, I think that's...
You're right, though. You're right. And we know this. So like I understand this is going to take off, whether it's me doing it or if it's another organization that's already out there that presents this. It's gonna get presented, and I'm hoping that it's the Ranch Foundation. But honestly, I have always said that if somebody else starts this and it's the way it needs to be done, I want to go work for that company. I want to be a part of the mission. Well, whoever starts the mission, I just figured nobody else was doing it, so I was like, I'm gonna try it. And it's going to be, we're going to go to Congress and we're trying to try to get congressional funding for this for sure. But that's why we need to first have a good retreat to have something that's tangible to say this is actually working. And then we can get the ability to lease a facility. Okay. Then it's build our own facility, then have one in every state. But I have a book called The Road to the Ranch that I hate to say that. I'm writing a book. I'm writing more of like a memoir of my life. It's just like I write about what's happened throughout my life. But I've started to write, what would happen if this turns out the way that I see it? What if there's a ranch in every state as a relief valve for the VA? What if the VA does their medical and they focus on that, and the ranch focuses on the mental health aspect and wellness practices and treatments? And then what if there's international veterans that come to the ranch to heal from all over the world, saying, hey, we don't want to fight anymore each other. We want to heal together. This is what we do over in Europe or in Germany or over in the Middle East, even. Like, this is what we do to heal after our trauma, and we can share with each other. That's a powerful message, to have veterans coming together around shared trauma and healing. So like in my book, it's that the world becomes like a peaceful place because veterans come together. And they basically say, we're not going to fight wars anymore. It's a fictional nonfiction. So I
love it.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Yeah. The idea, but in here in America, it could really happen if we actually have the funding to do it and we connect everybody. Because every veteran I've talked to is like, this is a great idea. Why don't we do this now?
Exactly.
Funding. But it's a funding thing, because there's a place in Montana that I went to, Boulder Crest. It's a ranch, beautiful ranch. It's probably $180 million ranch. It's on 2,500 acres or 1,500 to 2,500 acres. Having a place like that, it's owned by a guy named Arthur Blank he owns Home Depot and the Atlanta Falcons. He let us use his ranch, and it was beautiful. And we had the best experience. We still talk to each other to this day, us 8 guys that went through. And we were talking about, like, why don't we just make this? Why can't we ask Arthur Blank to donate this for the ranch? And it's like, well, we could. It's just that, and we did. We actually sent him a painting of his ranch. We took a picture and had it professionally painted, and we sent it to him. So it's like in his office, and like, if we were like, hey, we'd like to use this, have you donated your ranch to be able to start the first one? Well, the worst thing you say is no. Exactly. But there's somebody out there that's going to say yes, just like the guy that donated all that money recently to the administration to pay for veterans that weren't during the shutdown. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, some guy donated over $100 million to make sure veterans were paid or something. There's going to be somebody would donate over $100 million to start a facility for veterans to have to do what we're saying.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm not at that spot right now to be able to ask for $150 million, but we will be, and we're positioning ourselves. We just became an actual entity in Washington State just 2 months ago. So we actually now it's like we have the bank accounts, and now we have, the business formation, and we're actually we're a for-profit actually, because we actually have a for-profit side to this where I got approached to do with these very wealthy donors that wanted to go play Army Ranger, Navy SEAL, and Marine, and all that stuff in the woods or in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to fly around in helicopters and shoot targets in clear rooms. And it was like, okay, well, we'll do that, but you have to donate every time you come out. It's a donation only, and so it'll be a for-profit, but it's less red tape than the non-profit in a lot of ways.
Yes.
So we're trying that first. We can always switch to nonprofit if we need to, but we're going to try to do things a little differently and try to make this work, because I'm not trying just to start a normal ranch where we do some horse riding here and there and stuff like that. Like, we really want to make an impact in the veteran community, and we believe we can for sure. We just need to get this first retreat. Hopefully next summer is when that's when we want to do it, but we got to get the funding first. So right now we're in the process of submitting for that John C. Hannon Act grant. So we'll see. It's exciting, but it is sometimes, I'm not going to lie, like, it gets discouraging when it feels like it's just me, and I'm like, damn, like, I got to start this thing for the veterans, right? Like, for my brothers and sisters. Like, I really do feel that. I know it sounds corny, but I just know what it's like to be suicidal, not want to be here anymore, and like then go for where I'm in now. And like, thank God that I didn't do what I was trying to do, and God stopped me.
Yep.
And I want to help other people that are in that spot, because there's absolutely a better side on the other side. Once you start healing and you start doing all these things, you don't even see it when you're in that dark place. But once you start seeing the light, you're like, okay, well, life is pretty good and it's worth living,
That's powerful, man. And that's exactly what I believe in too, is being that person that is, I'm glad that you're on the other side of it, because there's a lot of people that aren't, they're still going through it. They're still trying to get basic things squared away, benefits. There's a lot of programs that aren't doing the right things by veterans. And, that's what I would call political, right? We do need to fight a political war within the VA and within the military on the perspectives. Now, in it, what does it look like, right? Well, it could look like offering a solution, right? The solution is the Ranch Foundation, where we could present this as a community, build it up, communicate, share with Dan, and say, hey, man, this is what I do. 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 And then before you know it, there's 150 of us going, man, all of us have a very unique set of skills, right? Like in Taken, oh yeah, unique set of skills.
That's so true though. Everybody does. Like, we're like superheroes. Really, like, everybody I talk to is so unique, and like, it does have a superhero skill,
Exactly. And being able to, again, I love tying it back to where, when we were kids, all right, and playing imagination and everybody's having a good time, there wasn't a limit to what you were doing. That's kind of the same solution seeking we need in our nation tremendously, not just for veterans. I mean it in almost every aspect, politically, result wise, outcome wise. What we're doing and as a nation, what we're going through is painful, but if we can get it right with one group of people, right? And I know they're out there, like the billionaires with a kind heart. Everybody pretends like they don't exist. I'm like, I've met a bunch of them. They are sweethearts. The problem is that they have a board, and that board protects is everything. And so you have to, like you said, be prepared. You can't just be all willy-nilly, because that's not how the game is played, right? Yeah. That is not how the game. If you come in with good, I just watched Silicon Valley, right? I highly recommend it. When you're looking for funding and you're thinking, oh man, is this, that, and or should I ask for that much, or should I be asking for this much? Well, I pitched a $150 million kind of ranch setup for here. It was going to be Valley Center Community Plaza, and it has this gorgeous investment of infrastructure, resources, education, development, senior living, communal, a grocery, all those huge things. I visited San Juan Capistrano this past weekend, and it redefined what it is we could be doing in a community, right? That's just the community. It has nothing to do with veterans. How do we slow down roads? How do we make roads safer, right? Do we just reduce the speed limit? Or do we make the environment look like it should be somewhere where you should slow down? Because that is how you actually make effect. What you're presenting is that we're trying to show veterans, hey, get involved with Dan, get involved with the Ranch Foundation, right? Get involved with what you can right now to stop that self-denigrating, that self-beratement, that beating yourself up for whatever it is that you are justified and validated for doing that. I'm never going to say you shouldn't. But can we now then also apply a potential other solution where we don't even have to stop that cold turkey group. We could just say, hey, I'm going to try this shit while doing that shit, but I'm going to see which one feels better and which one actually results into an outcome that I genuinely want to seek, right? You brought it up, finding that light, that sense of that Christ-like path, right? Where it's very, very, very much in the Bible that nobody knew to themselves at that point in time what was happening. We get the luxury of learning it and rereading it and going, oh my God, that's exactly Matthew 23. That's what I'm going through. These fucking hypocrites.
Good and faithful servant.
Exactly. And that's the most beautiful thing is when you kind of can culminate and bring those lived experiences like yourself. I'm very happy that you're here today, that God intervened and stopped you from being able to even press maybe less than 4 pounds of pressure. Okay. And say, hey, now you're here, you're living this life, you have this vision, you have this dream, you're meeting people like me, you're meeting people like everybody on your team. Your board sounds amazing, right? Let's get it out there. Let's do it, world. I'm so fucking jazzed, Dan. I really am.
And it's not, let me just be clear, this is not my idea. This came to me from God. It was on my porch at the ranch, and I was so confused. I was like, what am I doing? And the sun kind of came out in a almost like movie style way, and it came up over the mountains, and it just came to me like, this isn't supposed to be a shooting ranch. This is supposed to be a healing ranch. And I was like, oh, and that's when everything started to click. But it's not what I want for this facility. I want to make it to where every veteran can come together and we say, this is what I want in the facility. This is what I think it should, this is how I think it should be run. This, I think, should be the rules, the people that go to the facility. I shouldn't be making this up. This isn't on me. This is for all of us. Like, it really is. Like, I don't feel like this is something I'm trying to create. I want everybody involved, and I would love to have the whole veteran community say, we need a place like the ranch in every state for us. Like, not the VA. The VA is not doing it like they were. VA's done a great job with other things, but the mental health department has not done a very good job. Let's just be real. And they're getting $17 billion a year. Like, let's get some of that $17 billion in other directions and see if it can work. We at least got to try. And most veterans are on board with this. So all we need to do is take it to Congress and be like, okay, this is what we want. This is what we're asking for. And if we have enough people that write, essentially a petition for it, we should be able to get it done. And I think that's the direction it's going. I'm not going to stop until it's at that level. So it's moving that way. We just want people to be involved, to share their stories, share their videos with us of what they're doing. Yes, for health and wellness. I'd love to see it. I'm tired of posting about me all the time. Like, I want to post about other people and what they're doing. But so we really appreciate you having us on, and it's an exciting journey for sure. But I still struggle. I mean, trust me, I still sometimes want to take a drink. I get those urges, and sometimes I get upset and angry at God, and but at the end of the day, staying in my Bible every morning and having a community of people around me that support me and what I'm doing has been really strong. It's definitely helped me climb out of a dark place.
That's beautiful. All right, then, Dan, let's go ahead and wrap it up a bit. Let's get to know, how do we reach out to the Ranch Foundation and yourself, and how do we share the mission, message, and purpose?
Yeah, so you can just go to the Ranch Foundation, at the Ranch Foundation on Instagram. That's the main way. That's basically our website, theranchfoundation.com, will be up and running. I've been saying this for like a couple months now, but it'll be up in the next month or so. But the main thing, if you go to the Instagram, that's where you're just going to see all the videos. I do a lot of ruck marches where I talk about the ranch and what I'm trying to do in some of my stories. It's fairly new Instagram. It just started like 3 months ago. So, but every day I do try to post on there. And so go to the Instagram, message us on there, DM us on there, send us your videos. Love to see them. And also what you feel like should be, how the ranch should be run, what should be provided at the ranch when it comes to services, treatments, practice, and therapies. We want to hear it. It's not what I want in the ranch. It's what you guys want, what you want, Joey, what all the Marines, what Rangers, what SEALs, what the Air Force, everybody, right? Like we want to know what everybody wants to have in this facility.
Space Force and Coast Guard guys, everybody.
Exactly. And this isn't just for combat veterans. At first, it was kind of turning into that, where it was like, well, let's just focus on combat veterans first. But then I was like, no, because I met a guy that he was having issues from a hurricane, that he had seen a bunch of dead bodies in the hurricane, and he was very traumatic for him. That had nothing to do with combat, but he was having serious trauma. So like, okay, well, you can't turn a guy like that away. So it's opening the door. We want to help everybody, like you said, the carpool tunnel people that have anybody that's having mental health trauma or really any trauma at all. We want to help everybody, but at first we might need to focus on some of the groups that are having the struggles the most. But the idea is to, yes, have this open for every veteran that can come to the ranch and get help for sure.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, then, everybody, we had a great show with Daniel Litzenberger today, the CEO and founder of the Ranch Foundation. We got to talk a lot about some beautiful things. Thank you so much for your time today, Dan. And make sure you guys all listen, like, and share.
Get on in the car, let's ride tonight. The moon's got a grin, and the stars take flight. The street lights flicker like a disco fight. Get on in, drop on out, we're out of sight, no doubt. Spin that wheel, shout it loud, we're out of sight, no doubt. Get on in, yeah, drop on out, we're out of sight, no doubt. Spin that wheel, yeah, shout it loud, we're out of sight, no doubt. Windows down, feel the city hum, hearts in sync to the beat of the drum. Every turn feels like a spark has come. Can you feel it? The rhythm in the air. Can you steal it? The magic everywhere.